Hello, everybody, and welcome back. We're back. It's been a while. We're so happy to see you. We hope that you're ready for some Dungeons and Dragons. I am Dungeon Master Mark SherlockHulmes, and we're here for Knights of Eveningstar. And joining me, as always, my wonderful cast of wonderful players. We have Mica Burton, we have Anna Prosser, we have Nate Sharp, and as always, Jonathan Indovino, aka ShadyPenguinn. Hello, my dear
Sokka
friends.
From Avatar. Look at
He
that
is
man
rocking
bun with the
that
bangs,
Sokka.
with the
I
little
love
bangs there.
Thank you. Yeah, I literally took my hair was down to here, so I went like this with scissors, and
you
now
actually did it yourself.
Yeah, I don't care. What am I gonna do?
Where am I going?
No,
Nowhere to
what
go.
else
It
am I
much
supposed to
worse,
do?
so it doesn't matter. It's just snip and
Pandemic outside. No one
You
cares.
had your infant children cut your hair. I think that would have gone so well.
I really should have. But you know
Really
what?
Well,
should
that's
have
some
content.
TikTok content.
Yeah,
exactly.
You know what you should have done is given yourself a legit bowl cut, like take an actual bowl and just
Shady
It's not
Right
that
Cherry
now,
extreme yet.
Stream.
I'm not as long. The rule was it doesn't matter how bad it is as long as I can tie it up, because then it doesn't matter. Like it could be a hot mess and no layers and everything, but it don't matter. It's a bun.
Right now, with the beard, you could rock such a good, sexy adult soccer cosplay. You could nail that for sure.
I'm
Should-
blushing. This is too much attention. All right, we got. Let's
Move on. Let's move it on. Well, we're back. Welcome back, everybody. It's been a hot minute. If you don't know, the show is called Knights of Eveningstar, and it's the concept of it is that our party are a bunch of nobles or advisors, powerful figures in the land of Cormyr, which is a part of the Forgotten Realms that doesn't get a lot of love. It's a kind of land of knights and war wizards, kind of Arthurian courts and Camelot mixed with like kind of French politics, all kind of bundled up in a kind of classic swords and sorcery setting. Our party rule over a small little town called Eveningstar, hence the name, and they have been sent on a little mission. They've done a lot of work for Eveningstar, but right now their primary concern was getting some gold. And you guys have accepted a mission to head to a spooky ruin to recover a lantern. We'll get more into that in the full recap, which I forgot to write, so I'm gonna improv that. But before we do that, as always, make sure that you come and check out the VODs and check everything else. Is there anything else I've forgotten, Anna? Because I'm terrible at remembering stuff to mention.
I don't think so.
Is everybody ready to play some D&D? Does everybody remember how to play D&D?
We'll
Yes.
find
That's
out.
the big question.
think
Yeah.
so.
Oh,
Yeah.
I guess the one thing is that a couple people were asking about whether last time was our season finale and things. So I guess just to clear that up, we have a few more episodes of this season.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, I can totally say now that we also are going to have a season 3. So you can look forward to that. So we will
This
have
is
a
the
few
stuff
more.
that I don't know if we can say it. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I'll let Anna do it.
I think I made the call. We said it.
That's
We
it.
said
Said
it.
it now. But yeah, so we're going to be back. We're going to be continuing on because this is episode 25. And they're normally about 12 episodes a season or thereabouts. And yeah, we're going to be back for some more because the adventures and the events of Eveningstar have not yet even begun to be finished. So there's still plenty more adventure to go. Lots of plot threads and things to hook up on. Speaking of, last time, they're going to give you a recap of where the party is. The party have been sent to a place called Castle Braewinter in search of a lantern bearing the Braewinter crest. They're doing this on the behalf of another noblewoman, Vanifer Braewinter, who resides in Cormyr, who has agreed to pay them a large sum of gold for the return of the lantern. On arriving at Castle Braewinter, the party have discovered that all is not as it seems, as is the way with Dungeons and Dragons. The castle is enshrouded in perpetual nighttime and shadow. The party have been attacked by undead, strange creatures made of living shadow. The doors have been warded by strange dark magic, and they've encountered a Shadar Kai elf by the name of Gallo, who told the party that the Castle Braewinter has been partially fused with the plane called the Shadowfell. Knowing that this lantern is still inside, the party have made their way inside. Azara is currently suffering from the touch of a shadow that has drained her strength. They've encountered many, many creatures. They have taken several beatings, and now the party is looking for somewhere to rest. And the very last thing in our previous episode was they had entered an alchemy lab that they had hoped to use to rest and also potentially recover another item that could make them some money. And as they began exploring it and looting it, the room became icy cold, frost spreading across the furniture and the windows and the glass vials of the alchemy lab. And in the frosty writing, a message began to appear along the window. Why are you here? And that, my friends, is where we pick back up today. So, and it might be a good idea because we have had a couple of weeks off. Maybe just give us a very, very quick, visual breakdown of your character and who you're playing. We'll start with Mica.
Well, you started with me because I look the sleepiest. I see you, Mark. Azara is a good Lord. I'm waking up.
This is the other thing. Is it's a good kind of like let's
Azara is a level 7 sorcerer, level 2 cleric. She is descended from the blue dragon variety. She has silver hair. She has flowing, open-chested robes. She wears high heels. She has this beautiful staff that she uses to channel her lightning magic. That's what you wanted, right, Mark?
Sure, that works for me. Just a quick kind of like overview, visual and class and all that kind of stuff. Anna, take it away.
I'm playing Agnis, the wood elf. Yeah, that's what I am, a wood elf. And I'm a druid in the Circle of Wildfire. So I like to set things on fire. And I am noble, but I take issue with some of what being a noble means. And I try to be for the people.
There you go. Perfect. Shall we follow on with Mr. ShadyPenguinn, the other half of our two noble siblings?
Hello, I'm playing Tarkhal Crownsilver, who is a level 8 rogue, level 1 warlock. He is a wood half elf, has black hair pulled back in a bun that I wish I had behind his head, and then hair flowing through the back, draped in green, a little bit more noble looking this season, thanks to the new upgrades. After being thrusted into nobility, he's kind of taken, I don't know, more responsibility and slightly found some confidence as a character, which is very cool. And he's a rogue, so he does the stabby. What happened?
Forged a very slight minor magical pact with a strange woman that he doesn't really know that much about as well.
That is true. Sometimes a locket on his cape seeps green, and then also sometimes it does nothing to enemies, even though I want it to. The end.
The end. And then last, but certainly by no means least, Nate, give us a quick rundown of who you're playing.
Playing Clive of the Wildmane, magic lion barbarian man.
And I guess like magic lion barbarian is all we need for the visuals as well, right? Like
that's everything. That's visuals, that's mechanics, that's personality. That's it.
That's the whole character in 3 words. Magic lion barbarian. Job done. Well, all of you find yourselves in this very small chambered alchemy lab. The door is broken from Clive having smashed it open to reach inside. And yeah, I believe Azara had found a few potions. And then that was when this message in frost began to appear. What is everyone doing?
Going in.
Yeah, I mean, you're already in the room. You're looking around, Clive. I don't even know if Clive would even really pay attention to this message on the wall that's kind of appearing. It's gotten suddenly very cold. There's one of the walls is covered in a bookshelf. Seems to cover the entire length of the wall. All sorts of like old books and musty tomes. Some of them very decrepit and worn out. There's a large stone basin, a crucible for making alchemy stuff. Along with a desk covered in alchemy supplies, little vials, Bunsen burners, tongs, that sort of thing. There does appear to be a single bed that also seems to function as a bit of a sofa. It's kind of got cushions and padding that looks like it can be kind of turned into a single bed. And really, that's about it. A couple of drawers, a few wooden trunks, but nothing else. So yeah, Clive is in there. Is Clive doing anything particular? You just kind of slump on the bed, or?
We're looking for a lantern, and what was the other thing?
I believe. Well, there was a potion that you that was told that if you brought that back, Lady Vanifer would also pay for that. But I think the main objective in coming in this room was you guys wanted to maybe take a rest as well.
Oh yeah,
you are all a little beaten up. So, anything from anyone?
Did Azara see this message on the window?
You have anybody who cares to have seen the mess has seen them. I'm assuming Clive does not care, therefore he has not seen it.
Gotcha. Then Azara would probably hold up her hands, not letting go of her staff, but to show that she means no harm, and say, we have only come to help. We've only come to help take the darkness away from this castle.
The window begins to frost over once again, and now the kind of spidery ice-like writing does a new message. This place contains death.
We are aware, and we actually have come to rest in this room if you who inhabit it will allow us, so we can face this death and possibly free this castle from the Shadowfell.
The writing frosts over once more. New message appears. Rest? ? There is no rest here. And it just ends in a full stop.
Well, between that and the no door, I don't think we're resting in here.
Before we leave, I'm gonna just check with them one more time. I understand for you there may be no rest, and I am sorry for your suffering. We, however, are still in the mortal realm, and to continue on require a rest. Are we safe here, or would you like us to move along?
You kind of feel, and it's this every time the windows frost over, all of you feel this spine tingling chill, like an icy wind blows through the room, but nothing moves or shifts. Every single vial gets kind of frosted. Agnis and Tarkhal, while Azara's kind of focusing on the window where this main message appears, you see other smaller messages begin to appear on the vials. The ones that kind of like Azara, where her attention is diverted away from, you begin to see things such as little messages like, you don't understand. Are you nobility? What are you looking for? Like things like that, like other smaller messages kind of appear. On the window, another message appears in response to Azara. You may try, is all it says.
I'll turn around to the rest of the group and say, look, I think whatever is inhabiting these rooms, the spirit, this presence, possibly the ones who inhabited the castle, they will not bother us. They are warning us of what Gallo did warn us of, monsters in the castle, but if we all desperately need a rest, at least I do, and I'm the one who can possibly help combat this evil, and we can take watch, take turns, hopefully get enough rest under our belt to continue on. What are your thoughts?
Well, lass, if that window's giving you trouble, I've got another idea.
No, the window's not giving us trouble, Clive.
It seems to not want to.
No, the window said that it won't bother us. The spirits will not bother us. The dangers in the castle may bother us. The window.
We want rest. Window says no rest. I have a great.
The window didn't say no rest.
The window, another message appears. Attack my chamber. You will regret it.
As I was saying, the window is not giving us problems. The window is allowing us to rest.
That window just threatened me.
The window did not threaten you. The window said, Clive, can we please just...
Some of the books begin shaking on the shelves.
Azara, at this point, even with probably Agnes's help, is just too exhausted to argue and just collapses onto the bed.
Yeah, it's quite soft, but a big kind of, not dust, but it's got that smell of something being quite old but unused.
Yeah.
No dust, but it definitely has the kind of very stale stench to it. But it's comfortable.
Azara will also look to Agnes, like pleading, like, please.
Yeah, what's Agnes do?
Please help me here.
Agnes will try to divert Clive's attention. Like, Clive, this room must be secured. How can we put something in front of the door to keep it safe? Can we reattach the door? Is any one of us strong enough?
Perhaps we should move one of these bookshelves in front of it.
Or we could reattach the door.
I'm not much of a A handyman, but I can't move a big bookshelf.
Do you want to try and move the bookshelf, Clive?
I don't think we should touch anything in this room. The window, it doesn't seem to, we don't want to disturb the window and anything else.
Clive looks to the window and just gives like a...
Yeah, a message appears. Do not disturb my books.
No go on the books.
So how about I'll keep watch. Is the door like on the floor or something?
The door's not on the floor. Clive smashed a hole in it and then was able to reach round and basically rip off the locking mechanism to basically open the door. So the door can be shut, but it just swings open again. Like there's nothing which is going to hold it or bar it in place. It was like a big heavy wooden bar over it and a lock. So
okay.
Can I?
Yes.
Are there any plants around us?
This is an alchemy lab, so yeah, I'd say that there's, but they're kind of dead. They're not. They're all kind of like gray and withered. But there's soil and maybe some like roots and things like that. But these don't look like particularly healthy plants. They look like they've been malnourished and they've not been watered, so most of them are dead at this point. But there's earth and soil and roots and things like that maybe your druidic magic could spark into some semblance of life.
Well, my thought is we basically just need to make the door stay closed and fill the hole in the door is our goal. And I can either entangle by causing spectral vines to come up, or I can use plant growth to inject vitality into the plants that are nearby and do a similar thing. Both of them are more about like difficult terrain and restraint, but I feel like I could restrain the door and it would be similar.
Well, I think the other thing that's going to be a factor here is duration, because I think that with plant growth, you can actually use it so that it's kind of it's like a permanent thing, right? All normal points become thick and overgrown, whereas Entangle has a duration of a minute. So I'd say plant growth. Yeah, I'd say you could use plant growth if you kind of pull down some of the medicinal plants and arrange them in front of the door. You could cause them to create a barricade of roots and vines and things like that.
My thought is that I leave them where they are, but I just kind of like start guiding them and like they start moving together and dancing across the ceiling and grow down
the ceiling
into
and then down. Yeah. I love that. That's a great visual. So yeah, we see Agnis. So is that what you want to do that, Agnis? You want to actually cast a spell? So you begin channeling this magic, kind of calling on, and it's with your the circle of wildfire, you reach out and it's like the whole room becomes black around you. And you can sense the life energy. You can sense the flames within your companions. You can see this blue, almost like sparking lightning fire for Azara. Kind of this powerful flame that's barely being contained by this other source. In Clive, there's this almost multicolored, large, roaring fire, and it screams of pride, it screams of courage, but there's also this chaotic element to it. It can't be contained or controlled. It just seems to spiral out through the space. And then in Tarkhal, you sense a kind of more refined, noble flame, but perhaps a little bit more diminished, a bit smaller, a bit more subtle, but it burns hot where it is contained. And then sensing around you can just about feel these tiny embers in these potted plants, like this dead spark of life that's just barely there. And you kind of breathe into it with your magic, and the flames begin to erupt and the plants turn green and their vines begin spreading up to the ceiling and spreading across, and then you guide them down to create almost like a curtain of vines and leaves across the door, sealing it shut and keeping it protected. It's basically you've reinforced the door now, so somebody would have to break through all the vines and things like that. But yeah, this will definitely work at securing the room. There is a message that appears kind of frosted over the window again, just like it would say something like impressive.
Azara will like grin with this sort of impressed pride that she didn't know that she felt for Agnis at seeing such a beautiful, non-fiery, destructive craft come from her.
Yeah, it was creation, not destruction.
Yeah, and Azara, even in her weakened state, will just give her a smile and hope Agnes sees it.
And it's a very weak smile because I had to break my concentration.
Yeah,
I
it's
think.
fine though. It's fine. Azara's about to take a
So
nap.
you feel your body just kind of, completely dominated by this.
Oh, actually, no, I didn't. I'm still concentrating. Sorry,
Is it
it's
not?
an
Okay.
instantaneous. Yeah.
In that case, you're fine. Cool. So you have now sealed the door. You find yourselves in this small alchemy room. This room is maybe about 20 feet by 20 feet. It's not very big. It looks like almost like a single person's, room and study. But there's enough space that like you can kind of lay out on the floor. One of you can take the bed. You can maybe pull some blankets off to try and make the stone cold floor a bit more comfortable. But yeah, you guys, if you wish.
Can I do two things? First, can I, as I finish up with the plants doing the door, can I also have them grow out onto the floor and create a nice little sleeping mat?
I think that you would, because I think that looking at the spell, it's a pretty substantial area. You can definitely at least create that for yourself, for sure.
Great.
I don't know if you're going to be able to do it for Tarkhal and Clive, but you can definitely cause, from these small dying medicinal plants, you can create like a little hammock of a sorts. This kind of like attached by vines and woven branches, but it's really just big enough for Agnis to climb into.
I imagine it like she's like doing this big grand door ceiling, la la la, and it finishes, and then she kind of turns away, and then she's like, and like throws a little hammock in there at the end.
Yeah, sure.
But before she lays down in it, I want to go investigate, especially the bookshelves, but any of the other scholarly things in here, just to see if there's anything of note or that's helpful.
Sure. Give me an investigate check. That would be an investigation. Kind of like spend time looking through all the books and things like that. Whilst Agnis does that, let's check in with Clive and Tarkhal. Anything you guys want to do?
I would just look over to Azara to see if she's like out like a light, like if she, with her being weakened and stuff. And as long as she's like looks like she's comfortable and set up, I would just I think I'd just sit down opposite of the door to like face the door.
Okay, sure. So you're gonna like put yourself in a watch position kind of thing. Sure. Anything from Clive?
I think if we're resting, I'll just plop down on whatever open space of floor.
Yeah, I guess being like a Leonin, you're kind of used to sleeping out on like rocks and the earth and things like that. So, a stone floor is not particularly comfy, but it doesn't really faze Clive in the slightest. You kind of just curl up, your big thick fur and paws kind of giving you a bed. Yeah, give you enough kind of space, and you can definitely lay down and try and get some peace. For all of you, those of you who are going to rest here, whilst Agnis and Tarkhal are kind of keeping watch, it's eerily silent. There's no sound apart from the sound of your other companions, and when they're quiet and still, there is just this ever pervasive silence that seems to cling to you. Agnis, what'd you get on that investigation? Sorry,
7.
No. I'll go after.
Okay, well, 7, unfortunately, Agnis, most of these books don't have titles. A lot of them are falling apart. You kind of start flicking through them. When you start trying to pull them out, the room gets colder again, and you do see messages, do not mess up my system.
Agnis nods and goes to lay down.
Okay. Yeah, the room begins to return to a normal temperature once you leave the books alone. Azara.
I don't know if this has to be verbally out loud or kind of in her heart or in her mind, but I know that at this point, Azara is probably reaching out to Airdrie, trying to contact her, just letting her know that she's terrified and afraid and doesn't know what is going to happen or if she's going to make it or if there could be divine intervention of any type, but she's just so scared that she won't get to learn what more Airdrie has to teach her. And kind of falls asleep and rests or goes into this trance, like calling out to her goddess.
Okay. Noted.
Yeah.
So Tarkhal's going to take first watch, from my understanding. Are you going to watch the whole time, Tarkhal, or are you going to swap with somebody halfway through so that you can rest, or what's the plan here?
If I stay up, we haven't been up long enough where I would suffer any effects of exhaustion, right? This is just
like you have to be like staying up 2 days kind of thing without sleep for me to start thinking about exhaustion. If you don't, you can just take a short rest if you like, so you can spend hit dice to regain any hit points. But yeah, you can just
But
take a
it's
short
easy
rest.
for us to switch off with the 4-hour thing, right?
True.
Like,
It is, yeah.
Yeah, I think
You might
I
as
think
well.
Tarkhal's just like personality wise, he's like he doesn't have any damage, so he doesn't really need to rest.
Oh.
Oh, well, isn't that
Um,
nice for Tarkhal?
But personality wise, he just
Hey,
doesn't
I
want
did
anything else
hit
to go
Tarkhal
wrong.
when you first came to this place. I did a lot of damage to Tarkhal when he first came here.
Yes, then we had I was definitely beat up at some point, but right now I'm not beat up. So either I was
Yeah, I
healed
mean,
or
you could just take a short rest, even if you don't need to spend any hit dice, like your warlock stuff can come back and things like that. And a short rest you can do while you're awake. You're just kind of like sitting there, getting your breath back.
True.
So if you want to take a short rest as Tarkhal, that's absolutely fine. Cool. So you're just going to watch the whole time. In that case, I would like you to make a perception check for me, please, Tarkhal.
Okay. I rolled a 19 plus 7, so 26.
Okay. Everybody else either drifts off into their elven trances or purrs softly, soundly asleep in Clive's case. And the whole place becomes eerily quiet. And sat there in the dark with only your dark vision, no external light sources, just black and white, the shadows seemingly writhing around you as if fully alive. You can almost begin to pick out shapes of people, faces. They seem to be haunting you. You occasionally see a message across the frosted glass of a vial. Who are you? Why are you here?
I don't think I would respond. I would just kind of like keep my eyes over there. And when that message shows up, I'd put my hands up like I thought we already went through this. Like, that we're just taking a nap.
You just see one final word, rude. And then it frosts over.
They just wanted to have a chit chat. They're stuck. Haven't seen
A few
people.
more hours later, you hear something. You hear the sound of meat hitting stone, this kind of slapping sound. And then something seems to stop outside the door. And you just hear the sound of like wood being scraped, pressure being pushed against the door, something testing it. You do anything, Tarkhal?
The only thing I would do, let's see. Can I use minor illusion to make a sound outside the room, like behind this sloshing sound that I hear, like maybe over to the left into one of the
you
other.
kind of like try and picture in your mind. You remember that there was a corridor with like a turning. You try and remember that where that is and kind of angle the sound. Yeah, what sound do you make?
I would like to make the sound of footsteps running.
Okay. As soon as you make the sound, you hear a kind of that wet slapping noise becomes more fervid and fast, and it seems to drift away from the door. Next hour, you listen, and you can definitely hear movement out there, but it never comes back to the door. And then eventually, silence once again.
Nicely done.
And it's okay, guys. The wet slapping is just some dude in flip-flops. The snarling is because he hasn't eaten in a
Crocs.
while. Everything's
Yeah.
fine.
Crocs.
He just got out of the pool.
Yeah, he's just slapping on the pavement. We Gucci.
Schlappen. You may all complete a long rest. Azara, your strength returns to normal.
Whoa!
A long rest.
How do I do that?
So your strength was 8. So just go in and under the temporary, I think it's called like damage. You can erase that. I think.
So wait. So my
let me have a
strength.
look.
My strength is -5 right now.
Let me have a look.
Okay.
Everybody, but you can click the like long rest button. Everybody else, you get your spell slots back, or your hit points, or your things that you normally have. They all reset.
Yeah, if you can edit it,
I will.
think you can.
Do not fear.
Thank
I
you
will
so
edit
much.
it. I can. Once my internet decides to load. There we go. So strength.
But also,
Yes,
if
you
Zara
have-
wakes up feeling that her strength is back, she will place a hand to her airdrie carved waist cincher, and she'll say thank you.
So you sense Azara. So first of all, if you refresh, that should be back up to you now. You did not, all of you, this applies to all of you, even the elves who don't normally dream. Clive, there's no dreams, there's no visions. there's just an unpleasant blackness in your sleep or your trance. There's no memories. It's like being in a black void, and then you either wake up or come out of your trance. You don't sense that there's any real connection or anything's taken place. This place feels very disconnected. This castle, this ruin, you feel very separated from the things that are close to you.
Interesting.
But yeah, you wake up and you have a door covered in vines, and Tarkhal sat down on the floor watching the door.
Oh, you guys are up. There was it sounded like a sloshy pirate with long nails outside the room in the middle of the night.
Oh, wonderful. Well, we were warned by a gallo of horrifying undead, partially dead, Shadowfell creatures. I guess that was one of them. Did it give you any trouble? Or you didn't wake us up?
It put some pressure on the door, but I distracted it.
Oh, well done. Thank you.
The room does turn cold again, and a new message appears. Beware, Raedrin. Seek Cecilia.
Interestingly enough, that is our exact plan. Do you happen to know, and we also must thank you for your hospitality and your time, if Cecilia and her lantern are in the tower, in the mage's tower that we head for, because we would like to find Cecilia to possibly take Raedrin down.
There is a pause before the room goes cold once again, and this time the message appears perhaps a little less certain.
Mm-hmm.
When last I saw her, yes, much has changed.
Even that bit of information is incredible for us. We cannot thank you enough. We are indebted to you, especially as we have taken up your space. And I hope you do not mind the new flowers added by our friend here. But we will leave you to rest, and hopefully we can find you peace.
Please do.
And Azara will kind of turn to everyone and go, well, to the horrors, I suppose, shall we?
I guess I don't have power over these plants anymore, so we'd have to
You must burn what you
them
built.
down.
I'll just I'll try to
destroy.
Yeah. I actually will
Fire would be very bad in here because the roots are all connected to the desk and the wooden bookshelves and things like that.
Yeah,
So.
I'll turn to Tarkhal and be like, could you use your sharpest, cleanest blade to make a bit of a separation?
Yes, I understand. And I'll pull out,
because the plants can grow back if you cut it just right.
Oh, yeah, that is true. Yeah, okay, so I'll just choppity chop. I want to try to I guess just cut out a door where the door is and leave the rest.
Sure. Okay. So yeah, Clive watches you delicately go up with your knife and start pruning away. It's going to take you a bit of time to delicately cut away all these vines and things like that in the shape of a kind of doorway to let you kind of move through and open the door.
And Agnis is hovering over his shoulder, like, "Oh, careful with that one. Oh, okay, gentle.
Clive,
not that one."
It is a painfully long amount of time to leave a room. But yeah, Tarkhal takes over maybe sort of 20 minutes, 30 minutes. You manage to kind of cut enough away that you can open the door and step outside. The corridor is the same as it was once before. It stretches in impossible ways in the corners of the in the upper corners of this hallway, where there are these hanging chandeliers. They're almost like these rifts, these cracks in space, where rather than the castle's interior, the crack seems to show a bizarre landscape beyond, a dark shadowed mountain in the shape of a skull, a dark, gloomy looking twilight forest. And these fractures almost seem to be windows into a place that isn't where you currently are. There is, when you step out of the alchemy lab, you seem to have a short corridor heading to your left that ends in a pair of double doors. And then to your right, the corridor turns swiftly south. So it kind of heads along, and then it's another right-angled turn away from you. That is the direction you believe the Mage's Tower to be. I believe that Gallo had also informed you that there may be the Mage's Tower was warded, but there was a secret entrance to it.
Yes, in the
nearby.
dining room behind the fireplace.
There you go.
And he pointed us to the southern corridor.
Yes,
he said
that's where the dining
room is.
He said that's where the dining room and the tower is. Yes.
All right. Well, then Azara will just kind of gesture with her staff and say, "Who wants to go first?"
I'll look at
Clive
Clive.
does.
Hey, off we are then.
And does Clive try and move stealthily, or is he just like, nope, we're going down this corridor, time to go?
Yep, here we go then.
But he's got soft little kitty feet.
He does. He's also a big hulking barbarian man with a giant morning star. So, it swings and roundabouts. No, you make your way round the corner. When you do, you see two doors ahead of you. So you kind of you head down the corridor, you turn right again. And now in front of you, a short way down the corridor, you see a very intricately carved door. It's emblazoned with symbols of the moon, of stars, and it seems to be much more ornate. On the left-hand wall, there is a much simpler, plainer door that seems to lead into a room beyond as well. You can hear the sounds of metal scraping on ceramic, and you can hear kind of muttered conversation. And as Clive kind of makes his way down that corridor, like in the direction that you're heading, you do hear a kind of, keep that rocket down.
Is that behind the doors?
Is coming from behind the plain door. The more ornate door is silent ahead of you.
Is the door unlocked?
The plain door is not locked. Clive, do you want to just go up and pop it open?
Yep.
Sure. Clive, you step into a rather large, well-furnished dining room, and it appears to be set for a grand banquet. However, the room has fallen into a dark mirror of perhaps its once self. The tapestries on the wall have become tattered and soiled and ruined. The silverware is all tarnished, covered in kind of thick layers of grime and dust. And sat at the table, you now see several undead forms, all wearing tattered noble clothing, but they appear to be warped. Their faces gaunt, their eye sockets hollow. One of them in particular has these kind of burning blue flames where his eyes should be, and he sits at the head of the table. They all appear to be sat in a mock dinner. You can see several shuffling corpses of peasants carrying grime-covered platters of ash and bones and skulls that kind of hover between them. They seem to place these plates down, shuffle back, and then they return to pick the same plates back up again and carry them away into another room behind the chairs. The figure at the head of the table with the glowing blue eyes looks up towards you, Clive. Another guest, it seems. One of my brother's guests. Come, do not be rude. Come and sit and dine with me.
Azara will quickly message everyone and say,
Sure.
Remember, this could be a mirror image of what happened before the fall of this castle. Just play along, and we may not have to battle them. If it comes to it, we will. But first, play along. And she'll kind of shoot that out to everyone real subtly, real quick. Play along.
Okay, so the food at the table, was it also like a mirror image, or is that like real?
There is no food at the table. The plates of the food on the table, all the plates are covered in what appears to be a gray ash, bones, or sort of putrid looking black ichor. There are bottles of wine that appear to be filled with a very brown colored sort of liquid. You're not even sure what it is, but it is brown or very dark red, hard to tell in the dark vision and light. But yeah, there's no food. There are 3 figures sat at the table. All 3 of them look to be undead, very clearly gaunt, pale skin, pulled tight, rib cages, emaciated, but they're still wearing their finery. There are 7 zombies. I'm just going to call them what they are. They are 7 zombies, all dressed in peasant garb that appear to be kind of, maitre d', like waiters or maitre d's or, wine servants and things like that. But the figure at their head is just like, yes, come along. You must be one of my brothers, people. Yes, the guard captain. He points at you, Clive, when he says that. Yes, guard captain Morgaine. Come, sit and dine with your lord.
Yeah, I'll sit down and just like start gnawing on a bone.
Okay, sure. He's just like, healthy appetite. And the rest of you, do not be rude. Come, sit, dine with me.
Yeah, I'll go sit since Azara said to.
Yeah.
So
I'll sit right next to
young
Tarkhal.
boy. He pats like a chair next to him. Tarkhal. Yes, my young nephew. Come, sit again. Sit with your Uncle Farron.
Uncle Farron.
Yeah, he that's what he calls himself.
Okay, all right.
The other 2, the one appears to be a middle-aged man. You can see just these kind of dead gray hairs of a mustache on his kind of emaciated lip. The other one appears to be a kind of older-looking woman. Again, it's hard to tell, who they were or their ages because their bodies are so desiccated. Yes. How goes your piano practice, Sophia? When they look at Agnis when they say that. And they're gesturing to seats around them. There's the table has 3 seats one side, 3 seats on the other side, and then 2 heads of the table. They occupy 2 of the seats on the lower half and the head of the table.
They asked me how my piano practice has been going,
Yeah.
Sophia.
Yeah, and they called you Sophia, and they asked how your piano practice has gone.
My piano practice?
Yes, you are studying with the Lord Maestro. We look forward to hearing it after Raedrin's ceremony.
When is Raedrin's ceremony again?
Why, it should be very soon, should it not, Lord Farron? Yes, after our dinner has concluded. Now eat up. I see this one has a stomach. Clive, if you're gnawing on these bones, can you make a Constitution saving throw for me, please?
Okay.
Risking it for the biscuit.
You can see there are very specifically 6 courses of these disgusting meals laid out, by the way, and the wine that's been.
Oh my.
That's a 17.
17. So I mean, it's vile. This is like old. It's almost like scavengers, like remnants. Like this is probably been here for maybe centuries. You're not quite sure. It tastes powdery. It's very, very unpleasant. But you finish off the most of these bones on this plate. You kind of stomach it. You kind of feel like a little bit of bile rise up, but you keep it down. Like there's no effect from consuming this thing. You manage your stomach is strong enough that you resist any kind of ill effects from it. That is one of the plates cleared. Yes, I see that someone has a mighty fine appetite suitable for a guard captain. Yes, try the wine, my dear. Yes, I see Lady Arkelia is here, and he gestures to Agnis, like a fine vintage worthy of your prestige. And he has one of the zombies come forward and pours out a glass of this filthy looking brown liquid that fills this kind of dusty wine glass beside you.
He called me Lady Arkelia or Azara?
Azara.
In my arcane knowledge, would I know if minor illusion, if I, pretend to do it over the back, if it could make, when I put the wine glass down, it looks empty?
So I think rather than minor illusion, because any kind of spell casting, if it has a somatic or verbal component, you have to visibly be like, I'm casting a spell. But you could definitely try a sleight of hand to try and be like, and then pour it away, like when they're not looking. You can absolutely try a sleight of hand.
I am going to try a sleight of hand.
Sure, go for it.
Dirty 20.
Okay, yeah, it completely escapes their notice. You manage to kind of pretend to sip and then kind of cover it with a cough, and you pour the liquid on the ground. I mean, this thing sizzles a little when it hits the ground. Like this, whatever it is, it has turned very, very bad. It stains the stone floor when it hits. But yeah, that's and he's just like, what do you think, my dear?
A fine vintage. It was quite lovely. Thank you. I couldn't have any more, possibly.
Yes,
I'm
of course,
woozy already.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we can't have that. Although Radrin is quite prone to a beautiful young woman. Yes. So, how are you finding your stay here in Braewinter? Has my brother's accommodations been to your liking?
They've been absolutely wonderful, divine. Couldn't be more incredible. I do have a few questions. I haven't gotten the full tour of these beautiful grounds, and I'd love to know more about these towers and these entrance halls, and how does one
A boring subject, my
Oh.
dear. That is something to discuss with Radrin. If you do not wish to talk about hunting or music or the arts, I'm afraid that you would be far better suited to my scholarly brother than myself. Is that not right, Lady Petunia?
Yes, quite indeed, my lord. But Sophia, you did not tell her. How is your piano? Are you prepared?
I am as prepared as I possibly could be.
Marvelous, marvelous. Now you must eat up, my dear. We must have you full of energy for your big performance.
And then she gestures, and one of these zombies places this plate of like a black Icarus slime that's just laid in front of you.
But I'm so nervous that I couldn't possibly eat a bite before I perform.
Silly
Clive's
girl,
like
of course.
gnawing. Clive's like gnawing. He's like, try the gray stuff. It's delicious.
Don't believe you.
Yes, be our guest. Be our guest. Please.
Well, if you want to try and get out of eating the slime, you can make a persuasion check for me, or a deception check, Agnes, to try and convince them that you are.
Persuasion. I
try and
couldn't
convince
possibly
them.
eat a bite.
Yeah.
Dirty 20.
20, man, you guys are nailing it. Yeah, they kind of the older gentleman next to Lady Petunia is like, no, my dear, she must. If she's too full, we don't want her being sick from nerves before her big performance, do we? No, it's fine, Sophia, my dear. Eat what little you must. We don't want you getting too large, like that the peasant women from down in the village, do we?
Agnes like grimaces at this, but keeps her composure.
Yeah, he's a gross old undead dude.
And then she asks, "What do you if I perform well? What do you think might happen?"
Oh, Lord Radrin Lord Radrin would most certainly welcome you into his inner circle, my dear. You know that he favors those who are highly skilled in the arts, in magic. He is planning something quite spectacular. Lord Farron and I eagerly anticipate. We know that he has begun work on his final enchantments below the castle. The portals are nearly ready.
Clive from just off screen slides in across the table and grabs Agnes's plate and then just
slides it back over.
Yep.
Sure. I mean, if Clive eats it, give me a Constitution saving throw again.
Yeah.
Lord.
Haven't eaten. That's 23.
23, yes. It's vile. Like, it tastes like bitter and slimy going down. It's not pleasant at all. But again, you kind of are like, you swallow it down. I don't think you've ever eaten anything worse, but you've probably eaten stuff that's just as bad, rotten meat and things like that. So you kind of like belch a little, kind of let it out. And yeah, your stomach, again, you managed to keep everything down. No problems as you do so. The only thing that you can really see, the only kind of food item that's there's various other plates, but there's also this kind of like, it's just a pile of ash. It's just like gray dust that's been piled high onto this plate. That seems to be the other thing left. Lord Farron notions towards you, Tarkhal, just like, my young nephew, please come eat. And he slides that over. And you can see him looking, Tarkhal, with you into these with these blazing blue flames.
Yes, you're going to grow up and be a fine servant of the Braewinter line. Not like those weak fools that cling to Cecilia and her cowardly ways. You're going to be a fine scion.
His little bony hand like pats you on the knee like you're a child. He's just like, yes.
I hate this guy. I would just Tarkhal would begrudgingly roll his eyes and eat some delicious slop.
Dust.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Constitution saving throw for me. There's you get like a big wood, tarnished dusty spoon, and you just watch this powder kind of flake off, and you're like,
yeah, I rolled.
Don't you have really good sleight of hand?
Yeah, but this guy, I think no, I think I just roll a 6 on Constitution. I try to eat some dust.
The dust goes in your mouth, and it is the most vile thing you have ever tasted or consumed. This is you're pretty sure you're eating grave dust or people dust. And there's just this, and the dust kind of comes out in a cloud. You feel sick to your stomach. You are technically poisoned, the poisoned condition, which means you have a disadvantage on ability checks and attack rolls. You're not sure how long for, but you feel sick to your stomach. You feel nauseous and queasy. Your tongue goes numb. This wasn't just bad food. There's something vile about this stuff. And it's just you gag and things like that. It's just perhaps I was wrong about you. Poor Constitution. We'll have to have that managed. I shall speak with your mother, make sure that they serve you proper food.
I'm just cracking up.
Yeah.
Just dust explosion.
Can I whisper to Azara? Am I close enough?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you can whisper. They might. I mean, if you want to try and be cautious about it, I'll make a roll for them to see if they hear you.
Yeah, I'm just trying to be cautious, and I'm gonna ask her
they don't hear you.
Great. Do you think we could find out more about Cecilia from him?
Azara will message back just to really avoid suspicion and say, we may want to try a question or two, but don't push it, because if they turn on us, it will be a fight. Also, while this is happening, can I look around the room to see where the fireplace is and if there is something that looks latchy or?
Well, so sat where you are, you're not going to be able to you'll have to get up and carefully examine it, which means finding a reason to leave the table. But it's exactly opposite the head of the table, Lord Farron. He's looking into the fireplace. It's on the other side of the wall. It's a kind of it's well-made stone, kind of cobbled together. You can see it's quite ornate. There's a shield with the Braewinter symbol, which is a mountain with an eclipsed kind of sun behind it. There's many things. It could be a loose stone. There's some wall sconces, like torches near it as well. It could be one of those. You're going to need to get up and examine it with an investigation check to find out.
While everybody's having their meals and the nobles are distracted, I'm going to message my friends and tell them, look alive, there is the fireplace. Hopefully once dinner is completed, they will leave this room and we can find out how to open it. If not, and I'll just kind of trail off.
I don't think they ever leave this room.
Did you want to ask a question, Agnes, about Cecilia?
No, after she said that, Agnes was reminded that they don't really need to know about Cecilia. They just need to get into the fireplace. So,
sure.
As soon as that happens, instead of asking a question about Cecilia, Agnes is going to be like, I'm so nervous I've caught a chill, and try to get up and stand by the fireplace.
Do not trouble yourself, Sophia. What is what we have the help for?
He gestures to one of the zombies. Light the fire for my niece. And you see one of these zombies. Looks to be a kind of maybe a young half-elf man, kind of just completely slack face, just stumbles towards the fireplace. Lord Farron will be like, well, you've polished off so much of our delicious fare, but now, my favorite, bring out the desserts. And he kind of claps his hands, and from behind him, where there's another door that seems to lead out, this hunched, kind of creature. It's not quite a zombie, but it doesn't have the sentience of these other undead. It's kind of got this long tongue lolling out of its mouth, and it kind of comes in with its hands like scraping along the floor, like in a primate position. But it's carrying in one hand a silver tray upon which is a decomposing skull with the top half of its skull removed and a kind of gelatinous brain still remaining in it. It places it on the table and it slides into the middle. Now, which one of our guests would like the first bite?
So did he prevent me from getting up? Because I was trying to go stand by the fire to like...
Yeah, like if he sees you going to stand up, he's like, no, sit down, sit down. That's why we have the help, my dear. And yeah, if you like, do you want to keep trying to stand up? Do you want to try and be like,
Azara
push
said not
him?
to push it, so
Okay.
Agnis pouts.
Yeah.
Hey,
So
I have a question.
go, please.
When I see
interrupt
this
at
brain,
any point.
when I
Yep.
see this brain, can Tarkhal throw up?
Yes. In fact, there is this just kind of like, and then you just feel it coming. Like, yeah, you stand up and it's like projectile. It's just like your body is trying to expulge whatever it consumed before as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Is that it? You're just like, oh, I want Tarkhal to vomit.
I just wanted him to puke and kind of hope that would get rid of the poison out of my body. But and I felt like the
think
brain
that
was
you
a good excuse.
definitely start to feel better. Maybe it's going to linger around for like another minute or so, but you definitely start to feel better. Like if a fight kicks off, you're probably still going to be poisoned, but if you can get out of this scenario without a fight, it will probably go away by that point. But yeah, you're like, oh, like even the vomit like just coats your mouth with gross acidic bile. It does not help that much. But yeah, Lord Farron points at the jellied brains in the skull. Who is the first? Most delicious.
I've already made my excuses about not being hungry.
You've barely eaten anything, Lady Akalak, please.
I look at the lady, what was it, Lady Petunia?
Lady
who defended
Petunia
me
is-
last time.
Yeah.
Lady Petunia, please explain it to him.
Yes, but our friend here, and she points to Azara, you've barely eaten anything, please.
And they slide the tray down towards Azara. Azara, you also notice the zombie kind of flops next to the fire, and it's weakly trying to like spark a flame.
Azara will dramatically, for effect, kind of put her hand to her head and say, "Oh, the wine, it's made me so dizzy. I wouldn't want to end up like the poor nephew vomiting if I have another bite of food." It really tries to lay it on thick.
Sure, give me a performance or a deception check.
Not persuasion.
No, because you are
I'm performing,
deceiving.
yeah,
You are
that is true.
performing.
Let's see, deception or where's performance? They're the same. 19.
19. Okay.
Oh, very well, dear. Yes, the wine is quite strong. You there, guard captain, you seem to have an appetite. You should take the first bite.
I don't want that.
A BRB. So we're going to take a very quick BRB right now. I think there may be some technical stuff going on. We're going to take a very quick BRB right now.